think we have a question from the audience. Mr. Greenslade.
Comment to the lack of engineering expertise in the fastener industry is widely known, and you talked about it just a few minutes ago. But there are 3 steps that you can take. I mean, ideally, you'd be able to hire a highly experienced fastener engineer for $10,000 a year, and they'd be on staff at your beck and call. That's not going to happen. But there are a number of highly experienced, retired fastener experts that are doing independent consulting work that will work on a project-by-project basis, or probably be open to some sort of a retainer thing, such that you could utilize some very highly skilled people as needed. And that is better than not helping or trying to find one of these people and put them on full-time staff, because most of you won't need that. So there's 2 people in particular that I'm thinking about right now, Mark Udell and Lawrence Klaus, both of which have over 25 years experience in manufacturing and are working as independent consultants and are brilliant. There's probably some more. So you need to think about that. Get your own talent that you pay for, and then you're not dependent upon or worrying about the relationship with the manufacturers. The second thing is you sincerely need to think about growing your own. You probably are going to have or have had a pitch on Fastener Training Institute. Well, if anybody in this room is not sending your staff to the Fastener Training Week, you're just shortchanging yourself. I think it costs about $2,500 or maybe $3,000 by the time you get somebody to one of these week-long things. And I'm appalled that we advertise nationwide and get only 20 people showing up to a session. That's crazy. How many mistakes do your employees have to make to blow $3,000? Or how many unique parts can you design in and make $3,000? So everyone who's not thinking about utilizing this great training resource should do so.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. This is the online, predominantly fastener-related podcast that, well, if you're part of the fantastic industry we lovingly refer to as the industrial threaded fastener business, you're in the right place. Hi, everybody. Eric Dudas here, and I'm joined, as always, by fashion maven and technical guru, Mr. Brian Musker. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Doing good, thanks. Very good. See, I don't refer to it as the industrial threaded. I regard it as the nuts and bolts industry.
Well, I'd say that's equally recognized. Kind of old school, though.
Right, yeah.
I mean, is that even politically correct to say anymore?
A nuts and bolts? No, probably not. Okay, well, I'm not sure if you and I have been politically correct for a while, actually.
True. However, I think have done a pretty good job about staying away from some of the more cliche fastener-related jokes over the years.
Right.
Welcome aboard, everybody. This is episode 66 of Fully Threaded Radio. We're publishing on June 20th, 2013. Also like to extend a special welcome to all the members of the various government agencies that may be listening in.
You mean undoubtedly will be listening in?
So Fastener Tech Week came and went, and it was a pretty good success for us, don't you think, Bri?
Oh, yeah. I had a lot of fun. It was very good. And, we had our expert and friend from Germany over who did a lot of good work for us. That's Christopher. And I thought the attitude was sort of positive. People were it was a good buzz, I found.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll be talking about that during our first segment today. I don't think you mind rehashing some of those moments, do you, Bray?
No, not at all.
Our feature segment on today's episode is a conversation with new NFDA president. He's also the president of Holden Lewis. He's Kevin Reidl, and he'll be explaining to us his vision for the NFDA as he takes the helm of the National Fastener Distributors Association. We'll also hear today from Mike McNulty with the Fastener News Report. He's got all the headlines for us, as well as the May FDI numbers. He'll be joined by BB&T Capital Markets analyst Holden Lewis for that. I'd like to thank our sponsors on today's episode, and they are StelFast. For service you deserve and people you trust, it's StelFast. Also, Trinity Hardware Headquarters, Solution Industries, Buckeye Fasteners, Fastenal, and Volt Industrial Plastics.
Yes, thanks, folks.
Well, Brad, we've got a lot to do because, as many people know by now, it's our annual fishing trip coming up, and man, we got a lot to do to get that all ready. So why don't we get this one started?
Yeah, as soon as possible, because I've got to find all my gear.
Why do we do this every year?
Yeah, I should be better prepared.
We'll be right back, folks. When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to StelFast. Since 1976, StelFast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at StelFast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact StelFast today through our website at www.stelfast.com and put us to work for you. StelFast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
Looking for package fasteners of all kinds? How about specials or unique parts that no one seems to carry? At Trinity Hardware Headquarters, we believe in parts done right, and our new catalogue is available online at trinityhardwarehq.com, featuring over 30,000 different types of fasteners available in package quantities, product kits, and assortments, including hundreds of hard-to-find parts as well as the most popular inch and metric sizes. Trinity Hardware Headquarters has locations throughout the Midwest and South, and over 400,000 square feet of warehouse space with 18 million pounds of fasteners ready to fill your requirements. Our featured products include number 3 and number 7 head plow bolts, grade 5 and grade 8 carriage bolts, hook bolts, tap bolts, and nuts and washers of all kinds, plus much more. Visit our website at www.trinityhardwarehq.com or give Trinity Hardware Headquarters a call at 888-232-1010. Trinity Hardware Headquarters, for parts done right.
Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company have been servicing the fastener community since 1905. An employee-owned company for 33 years, we take great pride in the quality of products we sell, offering outstanding customer service from our very knowledgeable sales team members. Our standard product lines include graded weld screws, resistance weld fasteners, leg levelers, tube inserts, clevis pins, and various other fasteners. We have complete custom manufacturing capabilities in low carbon, medium carbon, and stainless steel materials, and our quality systems are registered to ISO standards. We also have an entire team of sourcing specialists able to locate those hard-to-find items with typically smaller minimums and shorter lead times than that of our competition. We offer same-day shipments from one of our warehouses, strategically located throughout the United States and Canada, enabling us to fulfill all your fastener needs in a very timely manner. To find out more about Buckeye Fasteners, please call us at 800-437-1689 or visit us on the web at buckeyefasteners.com. Buckeye Fasteners, product support from development to implementation.
I need 5,000 3/4 10 by 9 and 3/4 grade 8 zinc yellow tap bolts right away, but they're not a standard size.
Solution Man Ken. I carry a wide variety of sizes and I can quickly cut them to any length. See Solution Industries' website for details at solutionind.com.
Using your bare hands?
I do use a saw on smaller parts, actually.
Hey guys, this is the one and only Rebecca Day of Exact Industries, and you're listening to my online fasting soul brothers, Brian and Eric, on Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you. Making the world safe for fasteners, truth, the American way of life, all that good stuff.
And the people running Prism, okay?
Oh, man, we're going to get in trouble. Get with us anytime, folks, and you can do so at the email address ftr@fullythreaded.com. We're also out there on Twitter under the handle Fully Threaded. We're the people who bring you the FCH Sourcing Network. That can be found at www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. Many of you know us. Many of you are already a active member of the network, and we sure do appreciate that. But we invite you all to get out there anytime you need to find a fill-in or a hard-to-find part. There's closing in on 1 million line items out there now. It's free to use on the searching and sourcing side. Say, Brad, I should have pointed out that at the top of the show, we had a comment from Joe Greenslade. Of course, many people know him as the technical director over at the IFI. He's been in the industry, respected member of the industry for many years. That was an excerpt from the NFDA panel discussion that took place last Thursday.
Yeah.
I played a role in that. I was glad to be a part of that whole thing. And I think Joe made a really great point that the training in the fastener world, we've got a great resource, but a lot of people just haven't taken advantage of it yet.
Right. Yeah, we all know how important that is, actually. And we're much behind it. In fact, your mate Carmen is part of that too, and in dealing with hydrogen embrittlement too. Another of your favourite subjects.
Yeah, I didn't really get a very good laugh out of my joke at
No,
the
you
NFDA,
did not.
But I just actually heard the recordings from this. Unfortunately, I didn't get the recordings soon enough to pare a lot of it down, but I did want to grab that clip from Joe because I thought it was pretty appropriate and a message that the industry needs to hear. I would be surprised if the NFDA doesn't jump in during the coming year to advance the cause of training. And we'll be talking a little bit more later in the episode about that, exactly what the NFDA has in mind for the upcoming year. But why don't we rewind a little bit? Our week started off with kind of a flurry. We were getting all of our presentation materials ready for the Fastener Tech 13 show. We did a breakout session on Tuesday the 11th called Trends and New Tools for an Evolving Industry. And I'd like to thank everybody who came out for that. I think we figured we had about 160 to 170 people in the room. I was happy. Again, thanks to everybody who came out.
Yeah, and thanks to the NFDA for sponsoring this event with us. We think we dealt with some pretty interesting subjects, one that we've been discussing and dealing with and notifying other people about for a long time, this whole thing of 3D printing. And, of course, Eric's right onto the Ray Kurzweil singularity thing.
Yeah, and I'll invite people, if you haven't done so already, you want to get the presentation notes. We've got some really cool links out there, folks. A couple of these things we played, and we brought the lights up afterwards. I could tell people were just, speechless, really. And again, they're on the session notes. Go out to the fullythreaded.com website. You can pop your email address in there, and we'll shoot those right off to you. But we did cover some heavy issues. We also had Holden Lewis out there talking about the FDI and what we've learned so far from our year and a half of data that we've gathered. 3D printing. We had Kevin Reidl from the NFDA participating, and it was just great to have the NFDA's involvement and their partnership with us. They gave us some great support on that, and I guess that's evidence of what they're professing to be doing now, which is coalescing with the industry and really reaching out to associations and all kinds of groups. Hey, I mean, if we're on the list.
Right. Yeah. And we had some excellent and expert help from our friend from Germany, Christopher Johann, who flew over and put some of the stuff together for us, and he made a cool video for us, which we have to remove the copyright parts out of yet. The 2001 thing, which was great. So thanks to all the people who helped us, and the people from the Rosemont who actually set some of the recording stuff up. So that was good. And we had a little video which Christopher had put together on 3D printing, which we filmed up at the local library here, which we had it running in loop in our booth, and people just kept looking at this thing. It was printing out a plastic screw and bolt and nut, actually. Some of that was sort of interesting. Some of the items we had, one was very, very complex, an epicyclic gear had been printed out, and it's amazing what you can do with this stuff. So hopefully people will have, thought of this or think of it and continue to think of it and think that maybe this is something that they might actually use.
Well, a lot of people's eyes are opening, that's for sure. And it was really fun to be at our booth and have people walk by and just see the mesmerized look on their face when those were 5/8 bolt nut sets, and to see them being printed out on this little entry-level machine. Now, don't get us wrong, folks. We're not saying that these things are going to be, replacing the role of some of our manufacturing friends. I mean, that's just not going to happen next week. But you've got to keep your eyes open on how this is affecting a lot of the manufacturing processes where your products are going. And that was one of our main messages during our breakout session.
Yeah, this is it's changing. There's a lot of, there's a notice, and I think yesterday I read that the National Aeronautics and Space Administration is experimenting with a 3D printer in simulated zero gravity to see, because their view is they can print out some of the equipment on the space station instead of having to wait for a rocket to send it up there.
Right.
Now, they're a long way from getting it working. However, you have to start somewhere.
Well, and that's where our friend exponential growth comes in.
Right.
This is a concept that we treated during our breakout session as well. And what this basically means is that the advancements in technology are accelerating. Now, you've got some people who don't quite grasp this yet, but when you get your mind around what we're hearing from people who are probably way smarter than us, we're starting to see why these advancements are happening so rapidly. So a lot of good stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the podcast. We're going to wind up with a look at that. There was a timely article that came out, headline of the Drudge Report, actually, the other day. But while we're finishing up our comments on the breakout session, I'd also like to thank Anita Oberlander. She is customer relations person over at Al Stainless Fasteners. Right after the presentation, she ran right up to me and explained to me the proper pronunciation of the acronym for the National Additive Manufacturing Innovation Institute, which is not NAMI.
Okay.
She seemed kind of outraged by that.
NAAMI, okay. So,
well, everyone knows it's NAMI. Come on.
Oh, NAMI, okay.
So thanks, Anita.
Okay.
Little faux pas there. She actually has an interesting story to tell as it relates to 3D printing, because she came from 3D Systems, of course, which is the company that manufactures the cube. And we learned at our session from Holden Lewis that particular device is going to be available retail through Staples stores in just a few weeks.
Yes, that's right. And the company that actually made the printer that we used, the MakerBot, was actually, the whole company was bought yesterday, I noticed in the news. So things are moving. There's a lot of jockeying going on in that industry.
Right, and that's going to continue. You know, one of the interesting things I noticed, it was actually during the reception for Fastener Tech 13 this year. We were co-located with the Surface Finishers show once again. And I think that's a real asset to the show. It certainly adds a lot of bodies to the whole experience. But I noticed it was almost like being at a wedding where you're walking along and you see these groups of people and you look and you're like, hey, there's nobody from my side of the family over there, you know.
Right.
I'm not talking to these surface finishing guys, you know, and then you go looking around for a pod of people that, you know, have friendly faces. And I think a lot of other people recognize the same thing. A couple of, I don't know, not awkward moments necessarily, but.
No, I think it's better to have more people around. It's a better atmosphere. And they come wandering through. I mean, it's not as if the surface finish people only spend their time in there with the, you know, that part of the expo. I mean, they wander around. Everyone, it's a good extra traffic.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, outside of that cocktail hour observation, I think there is a pretty strong crossover element there. So it's definitely a benefit.
Right. Summary, it was a very good event, Fastener Tech 13.
Except for my hotel accommodations. I really screwed up, Bri. I stayed at an outlying hotel.
Outlying in Chicago.
I was out there on Toohey Avenue. Actually, I had a beautiful view of the Fastenal building outside my window, but
oh, wow.
You know, all the action was happening like 8 miles down the road. Other than that headache, you know, my planning worked out well. And then on Thursday, well, let me back up. On Wednesday, the NFDA meeting began, and the ITR economist this time was Dr. Jeffrey Dietrich. A lot of people who read American Fastener Journal are familiar with his work. And I got to tell you, their outlook is pretty copacetic, actually. So they're forecasting 2.3% growth through 2013, and they're expecting the last 2 quarters of 2014 to soften a little bit, but overall for the year they're predicting 2.0 growth. And tell you what, that beats a recession in the forecast, to tell you that.
Right. It's not like great, but it's better than flat.
Right. Also had kind of a weird experience at the Cowboy Bar on Tuesday night. I know you and the lovely and talented Lynn Dempsey skipped out for that one, but I couldn't resist.
Right, we skipped out, you're right.
But I had an identical cousins moment because...
I didn't know you had an identical cousin.
Well, I don't, but I had a moment nevertheless. And what happened was I walked up to Andy Graham of National Threaded Fasteners and, you know, put my arm around him. And then I suddenly realized it's not Andy, but I'll tell you, his cousin, Gary Graham, looks so much like him. It's just scary. And hell of a nice guy. I hadn't met him before, but we had a great conversation, and he's with National Threaded now. And he's, I tell you what, he's got his heart in the fastener biz, that's for sure.
Good. Yeah, we usually see them over at the Las Vegas show, and they come around to make sure they say hello. That's good of them.
Oh, one other tidbit that I heard, there was this semi-clandestine meeting of the Fastener Industry Coalition, which I guess was attended by heads of many of the associations that were there. And I learned a little bit more about this group, and I think we'll probably talk a little bit more about it as well. Had a conversation afterwards with Don Haggerty of Stealthfast, and he was giving me some insight into the history of the Fastener Industry Coalition. It is a recognized incorporated entity, and they've got their bylaws and everything. And I think it's something that went semi-dormant after the Fastener Quality Act, which is really the impetus for that group to come together. And now they're using it to drive this kind of cross-pollination with the association. So, it's almost like the Bilderberg group of the fastener world, you know?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, is it like this is the G8 of the fastener world, is it?
Yeah, so we're going to have to crash that party one of these times, Bri. We didn't get an invitation, but, going to have to do a little of investigative work, I'd say.
I would have thought the more interesting thing about the whole of the Fastener Tech 13 was that when I wandered up to the Solution Industries table with my lunch and explaining to them exactly what a Brian Musker hamburger is like, went to shake hands with Don Shan and found my whole lunch had disappeared. I thought they were playing a trick on me. Out they'd been cleared away because they thought I'd finished it already.
Well, they're very efficient over there at the Rosemont Center, buddy.
Very, very. I kept thinking, where'd they hide it? Who would have done that?
Yes, well, a Musker hamburger is basically just a big pile of food on the plate that looks like somebody half ate it because you don't eat anything with a bun. Which,
right.
I don't understand, but hey, different strokes. Anyway, she obviously interpreted it as somebody's leftovers, so that was hilarious, though.
Other than that, it was very good. Okay.
It was indeed, and I don't know if that was really a fair treatment of the whole event. Congratulations to Nancy Rich of the MWFA and the whole Fastener Technology team. Excellent job in coordinating everything, folks, and
it was good.
Yes, went by too fast.
Yep.
So again, I don't know if that was a fair treatment, but we're going to leave it right there, folks.
Okay.
And we'll be back very shortly with the Fastener News Report.
Brian and Eric, fully threaded radio. It's Fastener dog-approved talk radio for the fastener industry.
Looking for package fasteners of all kinds? How about specials or unique parts that no one seems to carry? At Trinity Hardware Headquarters, we believe in parts done right, and our new catalogue is available online at trinityhardwarehq.com, featuring over 30,000 different types of fasteners available in package quantities, product kits, and assortments, including hundreds of hard-to-find parts as well as the most popular inch and metric sizes. Trinity Hardware Headquarters has locations throughout the Midwest and South, and over 400,000 square feet of warehouse space with 18 million pounds of fasteners ready to fill your requirements. Our featured products include number 3 and number 7 head plow bolts, grade 5 and grade 8 carriage bolts, hook bolts, tap bolts, and nuts and washers of all kinds, plus much more. Visit our website at www.trinityhardwarehq.com or give Trinity Hardware Headquarters a call at 888-232-1010. Trinity Hardware Headquarters, for parts done right. Hi everyone, it's Brian Musker. If you're listening to Fully Threaded, then you're no doubt aware of the FCH sourcing network found at fastenersclearinghouse.com. You've probably also heard about our legendary scrubber software that makes listing your inventory on FCH a snap. But have you heard about the new FCH SmartLink interface? With SmartLink, users of Business Edge, InSequel, and Distribution One have a new weapon in the war against excess inventory, because each of these platforms now links directly to the FCH scrubber system through an automated interface. The best part is that this new tool is available at no additional charge to FCH members who use Business Edge, InSequel, or Distribution One. With SmartLink, you can keep your inventory listings up to date with the click of a button, so it's a win-win for all FCH users. The new FCH FastLink interface is really big news, and we'll be thrilled to have your company using it. Business Edge, InSequel, and Distribution One users should contact their software provider for details, or just call me, Brian Musker. You can reach me through the FCH website at www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. That's fasteners with an S, and the S is for scrubber.
Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company have been servicing the fastener community since 1905. An employee-owned company for 33 years, we take great pride in the quality of products we sell, offering outstanding customer service from our very knowledgeable sales team members. Our standard product lines include braided weld screws, resistance weld fasteners, leg levelers, tube inserts, clevis pins, and various other fasteners. We have complete custom manufacturing capabilities in low carbon, medium carbon, and stainless steel materials, and our quality systems are registered to ISO standards. We also have an entire team of sourcing specialists able to locate those hard-to-find items with typically smaller minimums and shorter lead times than that of our competition. We offer same-day shipments from one of our warehouses, strategically located throughout the United States and Canada, enabling us to fulfill all your fastener needs in a very timely manner. To find out more about Buckeye Fasteners, please call us at 800-437-1689 or visit us on the web at buckeyefasteners.com. Buckeye Fasteners, product support from development to implementation.
Hello, radio listeners. This is John Zender retired executive from Ernest's Machine Products in Cleveland, Ohio, and we're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you. Thanks again for joining us, everybody. We really do appreciate you listening in, telling your friends and associates about the podcast. Numbers keep going up, and man, it's just great to see this thing taking off.
Yeah, we've been watching it for a while, mind you.
Well, all good things in all good time, isn't that what they say?
Yep, that's right.
Hey, got an email here from Pam Berry of Advanced Components, also the president of the Wi-Fi group. That's Women in the Fastener Industries. I think she's still the president.
Well, she'll be told very quickly if she's not, okay? You'll be corrected. You will be corrected, all right?
Yeah, one thing you don't want to do is get on the wrong side of the Wi-Fi group because, it's just not a good idea. But that's not what we're trying to do here, so I'll stop digging this hole and point out that there's a really cool program that Wi-Fi's doing now. You might have heard of the Edith Cameron Scholarship, and I think they've shifted gears a little bit with what they're doing, and they're now offering a $1,500 cash scholarship, which is meant to pay for everything involved in going out to the Las Vegas show for a qualified lady in the fastener industry. Now, the deadline for this is August 1st, and if you join Wi-Fi before then, you're in the running. The website for that is fastenerwomen.com.
That's sort of a smart idea, actually, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, the other scholarship that they run is more, I guess, traditionally scholarly. Vaderman was telling me about this at Fastener Tech. They've got that one, which is going to send one deserving woman to the Fastener Training Institute Fastener Week, and then this one is meant to really open the door to the whole Vegas experience. We kind of take it for granted because we go out there every year, but there are a lot of people, both men and women in the industry, who don't get to make it out to Vegas.
Right, and they don't get to meet all the other people who are there. It's a great meeting place, that is.
Yeah, you really come out of these shows, Fastener Tech Vegas, turbocharged a little bit. You have more contacts, and I think you just wind up feeling better about the industry. So this is a good idea. Again, the website to get in on the August 1st deadline for a chance at the Edith Cameron Scholarship is fastenerwomen.com. Thanks for the email on that, Pam. And we've got another industry event coming up that I want to point out just before we get to the fastener news, and that is the annual MWFA golf outing.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to miss this one, folks.
Well, I'm sure you won't. I mean, now that I've seen you have your single golf club sitting in the hall, I mean, wouldn't qualify you for the Masters, but maybe I thought that was for glow golf, isn't it?
Oh, you're the master of understatement, Brian. I got to tell you. Actually, I've seen no sign of glow golf this year, and I think Rich actually explained that to us on a previous episode, and it wasn't going to work out logistically this year. But there's golf, there's cocktails, there's dinner. All of this is happening Thursday, June 27th, and this is the 61st annual MWFA golf outing. Get out to their website, get your team registered. It's always very well attended, so don't miss your chance to get a spot. The website is www.mwfa.net. This year, it's taking place at, Eaglewood Resort and Spa. That's in Itasca, Illinois.
Oh, yep.
I'm not sure what hole we're sponsoring this year, but keep your eyes peeled for that sign, folks. And I think we're sponsoring a game, too, aren't we? What is it, a putting contest?
I thought it was a glow golf. Oh, no, that's right. It's not on.
You're really fixated on that.
I know. Well, I'm just giving you a chance, Next time, Rich will he'll be thinking of you when he's organizing the next year's one.
Well, there's no doubt about it. We are big promoters of glow golf in the fastener world, so I think that it benefits the industry as a whole, and I don't know. What else can I say?
That's enough. Okay.
Hey, folks, just to remind you, you can get with us anytime at the email address ftr@fullythreaded.com. We're also out there on Twitter under the handle Fully Threaded. The Fastener News Report today is sponsored by Volt Industrial Plastics and Fastener Technology International Magazine. And with that, here's Mike McNulty.
Thanks, Eric and Brian. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored today by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. I am happy to report that I have returned intact from the heart of the fastener industry, also known as Fastener Tech 13 in Rosemont, Illinois, and I am back more focused than ever on fasteners and ready to deliver today's Fastener News Report. In today's top story, we are going to get the May 2013 results of the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as FDI. Also in today's report, we have newsmaker headlines from Rick Rudolph, Elgin Fastener Group, Doncasters, EFC, Sunright America, Spiral, Screw Products, and Dexter Fastener. We also have a back page report on vacations. We will get to all of that and the Fastener Distributor Index results for May right after this.
Volt Industrial Plastics is the source for all your high-quality plastic fastener needs, and customer service is their #1 priority. With almost 1 million fasteners in stock and same-day shipping on stock items, Volt Industrial Plastics carries inventory so you don't have to. Volt manufactures everything in-house from over 125 different materials, and they're proud to say 100% of their products are American-made. And of course, custom tooling and in-house bagging is available. Contact Volt online at www.voltplastics.com. Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners.
For a selection of hundreds of thousands of fasteners, check out your local Fastenal store or Fastenal.com. We can stock domestic or internationally sourced product locally and keep your bin stock filled for you at no additional expense. We are a 9001-2008 certified company that's made a huge investment in quality control so you don't have to. And if you can't find it on our shelf, we can make it for you at the quantity you need at one of our many manufacturing facilities. Learn more by contacting your local Fastenal store or visiting Fastenal.com today.
Mike McNulty.
In May, the Fastener Distributor Index, widely known as FDI, increased slightly to 52.4 versus a 51.6 showing the previous month. FDI data is collected and analyzed by BB&T Capital Markets and the FCH Sourcing Network, and it seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener industry. To get the details on these stabilizing results, we talked to Holden Lewis of BB&T Capital Markets. Hi, Holden. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
All right. Thanks for having me, as always.
Now, it seems like the FDI is settling into some sort of a groove. What did you find out with the latest results?
Yeah, I think that that's right. In fact, I think that the economy in general seems to be settling into some sort of groove. What we have seen is that in contrast to sort of the mid to high 40 numbers that the FDI was putting up in the last part of 2012, through much of 2013, we've really been averaging in sort of the low 50s range. And the May number came in at 52.4 all in. And that's really not far off what the average the last 5 months has been. And, the way that I like to think about it is anything north of 50 obviously indicates some sort of expansion. And so the fact that we are slightly above 50 suggests that the market is growing, but not a lot. And the fact that we've sort of been in this range for the past several months suggests that business conditions are relatively stable in that slow growth type of mode. So, I think that the way you characterized it is correct. It's a stable market at this point. It's one of what looks like very slow growth. And I think there's a lot of other data points, as well as just anecdotes from companies that largely support that. So it's absolutely a stable, slow growth environment at this time.
Not exciting, but at least it's stable, and we maybe know what to look for in the future. Now, you mentioned, slow growth. Any idea what kind of growth you expect for the rest of the year? What these types of numbers are indicating?
Sure. Well, and it's a great question because I think that your listeners would probably agree that the best proxy for demand is most likely something related to industrial production. And though we don't have enough data to have done this study on the FDI in particular, I will point out that I have done studies in the past about looking at the PMI, the national figure, and taking a look at what level of PMI, for any level of PMI, what does that suggest about industrial production growth? And what you wind up seeing is that with readings sort of between 51 and 53, which is essentially where we are and where we have been, that largely equates to, or has historically equated to, industrial production growth of between 2 and 3%. So, again, that also is very supportive of the idea that we're in a slow growth environment. But I think the interesting element is if you look at where actual industrial production is right now, it's actually pretty flat. In fact, I think in May, industrial production, as I measure it, was actually slightly negative, less than 1%. And what that would tell you is that we do seem, right now, the industrial world does seem to be underperforming relative to what some of the data tells you it should be. And I think that gets us back to some things that we've actually seen in this FDI, which specifically will bring you to the customer inventories. Customer inventories have been low. In fact, there's always been a bias on the part of respondents to always assume their customers' inventories are too low. But a number which has been too low got lower still in May with a reading of 37.5 versus 39.1 in April. And I think what we're seeing right now is that the industrial environment is probably underperforming its natural rate of growth, largely because you're seeing some slowing in it, or you're seeing people sort of willing inventories away. And I also think that in this slow growth environment, people are being cautious on capital spending. The mindset really being, well, if I'm only going to grow a couple percentage points, frankly, I have all the capacity I need to be able to meet that demand, so why lay out millions of dollars on some new machine or what have you? And I think when you look at the combination of maybe some slow capital spending and some inventory winnowing, that probably is running the industrial economy a little bit lower than you might expect. The good news is at some point, if inventories, if there's any catalyst at all, inventories perhaps need to perk up. At some point, this slow growth will sort of catch up to where the investment currently is, and some more investment will have to start. I think that if there's anything good in this data, it's that some of the forward-looking indicators say that there's more room to go up than go down. We just need that spark, and that's what's been lacking.
Yeah, your point about the reduced or holding back on capital equipment purchases is I think a good one. I've heard that comment from some people in anecdotes and talking to them that people are a little bit more reluctant to buy new machinery. They're looking at used machinery or maybe just holding off, trying to get more out of what they have.
And then the funny part about that is I think that pattern goes back to before the year started. And back then it was all about presidential election, politics, that sort of thing, causing people to freeze up. Well, we resolved that, and quite frankly, I think that the freezing up, if you will, simply has a lot more to do with basic business decisions on a company-by-company basis than it does any sort of external factors. Growth is slow. When growth is slow, it's just not hard for people to sort of meet demand without having to make major investments. You commented earlier, that nobody's really running that hard, that perhaps predictability is okay, and rather than having to run around crazy. And there's certainly something to be said for that. But when people are running around like crazy, they have decisions to make, whereas right now, the decisions I think are of a different nature, and I suspect that they're more internal decisions than they are external ones.
Right. Now, I was looking over your notes that, I know listeners know that you put a column out on this, on the FDI, but I was looking at your notes. You talked about the outlook was still positive, but a little bit more tempered, maybe.
Right. That's right. So taking a look at what the 6-month outlook is like, you're still looking at the number of optimistic respondents is still approximating 50%. It was about 47% in April, about 47% in May. However, pessimism edged up a little bit. In April, it was about 13%. In May, it was up about 17%. So, being on Wall Street, people tend to flip out over every penny miss. I tend to look at things and try to look for any substantive change. And, as a technical matter, I suppose you could say that the outlook got somewhat more tempered. But substantively, I think it's really the same dynamic. Right now, close to 50% of respondents, are sort of, have a bit more of an optimistic view about the next 6 months. That well eclipses those that have a negative view in the next 6 months. The one thing we have to watch is over the last 4 months, even though that pessimistic camp is still small, has been creeping up month by month by month. And so that's a trend that we need to watch for. But I would characterize, much as I would with the monthly FDI itself, I would characterize the outlook as largely being more of the same in May.
Yeah, still more positive than negative for sure. Now, also in these results, it looks like it was the third straight month that pricing improved, and maybe that's suggesting that people are starting to get some price increases across.
Well, the barn door hasn't blown open on this, but yeah, it's been interesting because the last few months
nickels here and there.
Yeah, exactly. We have seen some indications in the data that perhaps some folks are looking to, get some price increases pushing through. And my suspicion is, even though volumes are low, pricing is low, people, as I understand it, are still putting through wage increases, on their employees, healthcare costs, insurance costs, all those things still go up, even if steel costs are not. And so I suspect that we're anniversarying some increases, and people are sort of taking the stability and maybe trying to push through some increases to try to defend margin. That would be my guess. Again, barn doors aren't blown off here by any means. We're talking about a pricing range that has perhaps stepped up from a 0 to 1 range up into a 1 to 2% range. But nonetheless, what we're really talking about is there's a few things that I think people can take as positives in this report. One of which we talked about, sort of the customer inventories are continue to go lower, which can be fuel for the future. The fact that the industrial sector or these indices seem to be underperforming what should be the right growth rate means there's some catch up to be had there. And then the potential that there might be some pricing as well to be had. This may be a pretty mundane, boring index the last few months, but deep below the surface, there are perhaps more positives than negatives to be had. Not sure that makes a lot of folks who are wrestling with low volumes and low price all that comforted. But compared to 6 months ago, when everyone was convinced the bottom was about to fall out, I think these readings should be viewed as a fair bit more favorable.
Yeah, I like your analysis. The barn doors didn't get blown off, but overall things are stable, and there's some positive things going on in the background, and I think that's pretty good situation for us.
We'll take it for now.
Now let's move on to the supplemental question that you put into every survey. This time you asked about the issue of Amazon supply, which I guess has been started up about a year ago. They made a big push on that, and you asked people what they thought about it.
Yeah, and we did do this a year ago when Amazon Supply kind of made their big splash with their big announcement of introducing a business that had been introduced several years before. And so we just wanted to get a sense of what the expectations are for it. And in the first survey, quite frankly, expectations were far from panicky. I think, in fact, 95% of the respondents a year ago really felt like Amazon was not going to be a major factor, certainly anytime soon. The good news is that the overwhelming number of respondents still don't believe that Amazon is going to be any kind of factor. However, the number has come down a little bit. In this survey, about 83% of respondents really don't expect any major impact from Amazon. And obviously the balance either are seeing an impact or do expect to see one down the road at some point. I would characterize this as people still, it's a bit of a big yawn for the most part. So there's a few people who may have gotten a bit more prickly about it, perhaps a bit more circumspect about it. So 1 year on with Amazon's big splash, maybe they've caught more people's attention. But in terms of its impact on the market today, it doesn't appear to be meaningful at this time.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good result. Like you said, a few more people are paying a little bit of attention to it, but it's still kind of a yawner.
Yeah, and it's probably not a big surprise also. Fasteners, as your listeners know, tend to be a little bit more of a value-added type of sale relative to mops and such. And so since Amazon is never going to be a high value-added seller, it would stand to reason that fasteners are perhaps a bit more insulated from this intrusion than some other lines are. So it's not entirely surprising, but what'll be interesting is just over time to be tracking the trends. And as you say, the trend seems to be no impact on the market, but a few more people watching them a bit more closely.
Yeah, I don't know what the numbers bear out, but I would think that maybe the only place it might have an impact would be, the Amazon savvy person who is just buying everything from Amazon now instead of going to Home Depot or the hardware store to get his fasteners. He's just buying everything and has the premium free shipping membership, and they just have everything delivered to the house.
The customer who already knows exactly what they want, but most distributors I deal with don't want those customers anyway.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is that's maybe where it has an impact, but not in the industrial fastener distribution market. So, I'd like to finish up our chat today with Fastener Tech. I know you had a chance to go out to Rosemont and talk about the FDI to a group of fastener professionals. And how did that go? And how did you like the show?
It was a good show, well attended. It had the surface finishing show sort of connected to it as well, so it drew in a pretty good crowd. Had a chance to sort of walk around, talk to folks, and again, I think it's a great thing when the FDI accurately reflects what people are talking about, and I think that measuring the overall tone, again, I didn't get the sense that everybody, or for the most part anybody, was particularly negative on things. It felt like a big acceptance meeting, frankly. I think everyone is just sort of dealing with the condition of the market as it is, which is to say it's, again, growing but slowly, not much to write home about, and that people just seem to have accepted that that's sort of the lot in life for the time being and are operating within it.
I think at your presentation you mentioned that after being in Rosemont, you were going to go to a 3D printer, or you're going to check out some 3D printing. Did you get a chance to do that?
That's right. Well, and after Eric obviously did his 3D printing and just sort of generally all things technological presentation, we did go to a 3D printing trade show. And in contrast to all things industrial, the enthusiasm there is just buoyant. It's actually, no matter, we ran into several people who were just in the process of going there to learn the technology, to figure out which machine they wanted to buy. I actually spoke to somebody at the Fastener show that indicated they had just received their first capital request for a 3D printing machine. So this is a technology that, as I'd like to say, I think corporate America is taking with a much greater degree of seriousness than Wall Street is at this point, and I see nothing suggesting that that's not the case. There is just a lot of enthusiasm around the technology, and a lot going on in the technology. And as Eric said in his presentation, if you haven't at least looked at what 3D printing can do for or to you, then you should, because I'm not suggesting that you can start printing off large batches of fasteners at this point. I don't think you can. But bear in mind that a company like General Electric, for instance, they've created a piece of ductwork for their aircraft that used to be 18 pieces that's now printed off in one. That's 18 connections of components that are no longer made because the component is printed rather than welded or bolted. And so, one just needs to be cognizant that 3D printing is growing. It's expanding in use. It's not just aerospace. It's getting into, more mainstream applications, and you have to be aware of the technology because in some way, shape, or form, it has the potential to impact you in the not-too-distant future.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make some disruptions and some changes and some opportunities for folks. You said it was a much more buoyant show, so it was like going to a rock concert or an amusement park. at the 3D printing show versus what?
No, it was nothing. Yeah, they didn't have rock stars singing. It was a pretty subdued group in that sense. But when I say buoyant, I just mean that, the expectations for aggressive growth were palpable. I mean, this is an industry that's expected to grow 20% plus going forward. You just can't find many places in industrial that you can expect that type of growth. It was unique in that regard.
Well, that 20% number is interesting. I can recall back to the days when optical fiber was just coming onto the scene and Corning was growing 20% a year. So maybe that's a way to look at it. And that was a pretty serious button-down industry, but 20% growth for several years back then.
Yeah, you can. I would think you would expect something similar out of 3D printing.
Okay. Well, Holden, once again, thanks for your insight on the Fastener Distributor Index and for coming on the show and talking to us about the results for May.
As always, thank you very much for having me.
I remind listeners that Holden has a regular column on the FDI that it always appears in the print and digital editions of Fastener Technology International magazine. Next up, today's top Fastener Newsmaker headlines. Longtime fastener industry executive Rick Rudolph has started a manufacturer's representative company called Rick Rudolph Associates. Based in Melrose, Massachusetts, Rudolph will cover all 6 New England states, and he is seeking available lines. Rick's website is rickrudolphassociates.com. Elgin Fastener Group, headquartered in Batesville, Indiana, has named Jeff Hepner as Director of Distributor Sales, responsible for business growth at the distributor level. Most recently, Jeff served as president of Telefast Industries in Berea, Ohio, which was acquired by Elgin Fastener Group in late March. UK-based Doncasters Group has signed a letter of intent to purchase Automatic SMP, a maker of internally threaded fasteners and precision components based in Decatur, Alabama. When acquired, ASMP will become an integral part of Doncaster's aerospace fastener business. St. Louis-based EFC International has added Jim Self as its business unit manager for clamps. Self joins EFC with 25 years of sales and engineering experience in the marine, automotive, and distribution marketplaces. Sunrite America, a Japanese manufacturer of automotive nuts, bolts, and specialty fasteners, is investing $35 million to expand its Columbus, Indiana manufacturing center. These expansion plans should create over 100 new jobs by 2016. Spiral International Corporation, based in Danielson, Connecticut, has announced that its board of directors has elected Pam Sinami to serve as director of North American Operational Board. Sinami has been with Spiral for 27 years, and 11 of these have been in operational roles. Jim Miller, the president of Screw Products Incorporated in Gig Harbor, Washington, has been appointed to the North American Deck and Railing Association Board of Directors. This trade association is focused on deck safety, design, and deck products. Dexter Fastener Technologies in Dexter, Michigan, is looking to alter village boundaries so that it can buy 16 adjacent acres of land to accommodate a factory expansion. Dexter makes automotive fasteners. And our top newsmaker headline is that the 2013 version of Fastener Tech in Rosemont, Illinois, was a solid success with nearly 150 exhibitors and 1,500 registrants, increases of 33% and 43% respectively compared to the last staging in 2011. Organized by the Midwest Fastener Association and Fastener Technology International magazine, this fastener-friendly trade show also featured co-located exhibitions, lively presentations, several education seminars, Fastener Association meetings, and loads of networking opportunities. Preliminary reports and feedback at the show were mostly positive, and plans are already underway for the next staging to return to Rosemont in 2015. Finally, let's turn to the back page for a report on vacations. It's summer vacation time all over the country, and while most folks plan their trips around oceanfront beaches, amusement parks, historical sites, fishing venues, golf resorts, and national parks, I am here to endorse my recent vacation spanning the Great Lakes states of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Since I am so focused on fasteners, I brought my wife and 2 high school kids with me to Rosemont to piggyback a vacation on top of Fastener Tech 13. We bookended a few days on either side of the show to visit Milwaukee, Chicago, Rosemont, and several college campuses, as well as the lakefront town of New Buffalo on the southwest tip of Michigan. In this great country of ours, you don't even need to leave the heart of the fastener industry or forget about fasteners to have a nice vacation. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International bringing you the Fastener News Report. Remember to send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at McNulty@FastenerTech.com.
Up next, from Holden Lewis and the NFDA, it's Kevin Reidl on Fully Threaded.
FastenersClearinghouse.com. Search and source from over 500,000 line items, all just a mouse click away and available at no charge. When the need arises, you won't find a better place to locate hard-to-find fastener inventory. It's where you need to be.
This is Joe Truckee of Cal Fasteners, and Fasteners Clearinghouse works for us.
This is Robert Wanzer, and Fasteners Clearinghouse works for American Imperial.
This is Andy Pell from ScrewCrew.com, and FCH works for the fastener industry.
Join the sourcing network now and show your inventory to a whole new market. Turn slow movers into cash. List up to 10,000 line items. Show them to distributors only or to the world. FastenersClearinghouse.com. It's where you need to be.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stellfast. Since 1976, Stellfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stellfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stellfast today through our website at www.stellfast.com and put us to work for you. Stellfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
I need quarter 20x2 zinc-plated socket head cap screws ASAP. My customer has a line down and needs Saturday delivery. Help!
Solution Man Ken. I have over $1 million in zinc-plated sockets in stock, and I'll gladly drop ship directly to your customer on Saturdays. Visit the Solution Industries website for details at solutionind.com.
Is there anything you can't do, Solution Man?
When it comes to fasteners, nothing I can think of, ma'am. I'm not too good at bowling, though.
Hi, this is Shane with Bulldog Threaded Fasteners, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Well, it was quite a week last week in Chicago for the fastener world as Fastener Tech 13 was taking place and the NFDA meeting. And participating in all of it was Holden Lewis president, Mr. Kevin Reidl. Hey, Kevin, thanks for joining us on Fully Threaded.
Hey, Eric. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Well, it was an exciting time last week, and among other reasons, you're the new president of the NFDA, and this was your first meeting that you presided over. Congratulations on a job well done.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm excited to be serving the NFDA.
Well, we'll take a look at the year ahead here. And as I mentioned, you are the president also of Holden Natco, Cleveland-based distributor of fasteners and chain products. What's happening over at Holden these days, Kevin?
Well, we have a lot going on at Holden Natco. We are a general industrial fastener distributor with branches in 6 states, and we participate in a lot of different markets. Our customer base is pretty diverse, and we have a lot of activity going on in some of our markets, and we have a lot of internal programs going on as well. And it's a good time for the industry, a pretty good time for Holden Natco, and we're excited about the years ahead. Since the Great Recession a few years ago, it's been a slow but steady uphill climb for us, and I think in general the industry. So it's good to have that behind us and be in a position where the industry is in a pretty good place again.
Yeah, I don't think you'll hear anybody disagree with that. Now, at Fastener Tech 13, again, it was a fantastic event. We talked about that extensively at the top of the show. And Brian and I had an opportunity to do a breakout session, and we covered all kinds of trends, topics for the fastener industry, and you had an opportunity to come up there. I'd like to thank you and the NFDA for sponsoring that event, and also you participated. It was a great time. I got a lot of positive feedback on it.
Oh, you're welcome. And we enjoyed it as well. It was great to partner with you on that. I want to congratulate you for bringing some content to the industry that really we've never seen or heard before. I know there was a lot of people in attendance that really enjoyed it. I know I did. The 3D printing bit was fascinating. I've seen that 3D printing used in the medical device industry and some industries that are more engineering, cutting edge engineering, I guess. But to talk about that in a production environment, that's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We played that artificial intelligence exponential growth video at the top of that discussion, and when the lights came back after it, I was looking out into the crowd, and I could see some people were truly baffled. I mean, they were bewildered and amazed. You could see it in their eyes.
Yeah, no question. And I know, speaking for myself, I probably need to see that video 3 or 4 times before it all sinks in. But it was pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot there. We've mentioned it before, but I'll throw it out again. If you're interested in receiving the session notes that cover a wide variety of the subjects that we talked about at the breakout session at Fastener Tech, simply go to the fullythreaded.com webpage. There's a little thing at the top where you can put in your email address. We'll shoot it right off to you. But you had an opportunity to discuss what's going on at the NFDA and your outlook for the coming year during our session. And, of course, the NFDA has been reassessing its role. You're the National Association for the Industry, therefore you're in a unique position. Why don't you recap what you covered during your presentation, Kevin?
Sure. Well, we had a good group there. Probably 2/3 of our members made it. The other third probably had vacations planned with their families. So we look forward to catching up with them the next time around. But what we talked about was really what we've done over the last year or two, and a lot of that was really the transition that we had in the management team, which has been really a great move for us. And that took up a lot more time and effort than we thought it would. But what it's given us is it's given us flexibility to work with other associations, given us a little bit of financial flexibility. It's improved, I think, our reputation in the industry. And since then, we've really opened up our arms to the industry and have really said, look, we want to work together with associations and try to work together to improve content that we can offer at events, share resources, that kind of thing. So that was a part of our discussion. We talked about our member benefits. We recently surveyed our members and said, what are you looking for out of the NFDA? What are the things of greatest value that we can bring to the table and really focus on, so that we can really focus on maybe 2 or 3 or 4 things instead of 8 things. And our membership said, networking. We want to really network with other members, with suppliers, and so we're going to really focus on that. ESPS is our executive sales planning sessions. We're bringing that back at an event next year. That gives everyone the opportunity to sit down with key vendors and work out strategies, programs, that type of thing. And then really we focused on laying out the next few years of events. And we've decided that the traditional resort meeting, city meeting, our members really value that. So we're going to use that going forward. But we've also added an executive session, which this year is going to be held in Maui, Hawaii. And that's really just an executive summit.
Yeah, I think for a lot of listeners, that harkens back to the NFDA of the days of yore, where you go out to these resorts and things. But realistically, I think you need to blend some of what made the NFDA a thriving organization to begin with and add in some of these things that you're discussing, some of the value added. I mean, is that a reasonable comment?
It's absolutely reasonable. We are making a conscious effort to blend in, some of the resort site meetings that the members have been accustomed to over the years with a lot of content, business content, so that our members can walk away from the meetings and events saying, I learned something. I have some tools and some things that I can bring back to my organization and implement them. And so we're very serious about that. So there's definitely a blend of some of the resort stuff, but also a lot of meaty business content.
Let's touch on one event that took place at this most recent NFDA meeting, and that was the presentation by the people at ITR. Dr. Jeff Dietrich gave a presentation on the economy, and I'll tell you, in terms of value added, I don't think there's anything better. I think those presentations, of course, Brian and Alan, the brothers, sometimes give those, but this time it was Dr. Dietrich, and we came away, I think, with some comforting statistics, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, and it was funny. We had never heard a presentation from Dr. Dietrich, and we've heard from Brian and Alan many times, and we really like them because they have a great sense of humor, especially for economists. And so we're thinking, oh boy, we hope Dr. Dietrich has the same type of personality. And believe it or not, he did. We walked away thinking maybe he's their cousin or something because his personality was really similar. He was very engaging. We had a good time listening to him, but he brought up some great insights, as the people at ITR always do. And it's encouraging to see the numbers. They had, a year ago, they had said, they had predicted towards the end of this year that there was going to be a little bit of a softening in the economy. They didn't call it a recession. They said it's going to be kind of a soft patch. And this week he came back and he said, well, we're still predicting that, but we're pushing it out further. So we think it's going to be more towards the middle to late 2014, and we think it's really just going to be a small bump in the road. I think he used the term pothole, and he said so there's no reason why businesses can't plan around that. But until then, expect continued growth. And so it was really encouraging to hear that. And I think he said across most of the industries, the growth will be fairly consistent. It's not meteoric growth, but it's 2-3%. And he thinks it'll continue until then, and then we'll hit that little pothole.
Right. Well, any type of expansion, even though it may not be meteoric, as he said, we'll take that over contraction. And if we can see that out through 2014, I think that gives a lot of people at least enough breathing room to get a little bit more traction. I mean, that's really what we need at this point. And that's the kind of information you can get through the NFDA, and hats off to you for having them back. I know they're not inexpensive.
Yeah, thanks. We really enjoy having them. We've had a long-standing partnership with them, and our members really enjoy them because they're usually right. We found that they have a pretty good track record.
I had a great time participating in the meeting. Last Thursday, we did a panel discussion, and we were talking about this age-old issue of the relationship between manufacturers and distributors. And I'd like to thank you for the invitation. Also, I guess it's smart to point out that outgoing President Jay Keenan was there, and at the top of the meeting, it was sort of one of these bittersweet moments where he started the meeting, officiating it, and then you took over, and it's sort of the passing of the baton. I'll point out that, in my opinion, Jay did a very, very good job for the NFDA, and his enthusiasm throughout the year was palpable. We had many chances to compare notes on what was going on and organize things and so forth, and I like to just recognize that. So when it came time for the panel discussion, you introduced the whole thing, set it up, and what was the reaction afterwards? I had to take off right after that.
It was excellent. And just taking a step back, yes, Jay Queenan stepped down officially, and he did an outstanding job. He really was a great proponent of the NFDA. He represented us well. He led us through, a good chunk of the transition I had referred to earlier. And I had the opportunity to work with him a lot. He's a great guy, an excellent leader, and I want to thank him for the great work he's done. But back to the panel discussion. Yes, we had great discussion after that. In fact, some of our members came up and said, we should build off this. This was a really nice platform. We had 2 distributors, 2 manufacturers, and we had some excellent discussion. In fact, we had it scheduled for an hour and a half, and I think we probably could have gone on for 3 hours because we barely had time to take questions from the audience. But it was really well received. There were some really neat concepts that were discussed, and I think one of the really simple takeaways that most of us had was good communication between the distributor and the manufacturer goes an awful long way. And providing information as early in the process in terms of quoting and working together really improves the results. So that was really one of the simple takeaways that I had from that discussion. And Eric, you did a great job with it. I want to thank you for moderating it. It really went probably even better than we had expected. In the NFDA, we put together a task force headed by Sarah Mallow, and she came up with the concept and the name, and she did a really nice job with it, so I want to thank her as well.
Yeah, she is a great coordinator in that regard, and it was my pleasure, and I appreciate the invitation. Anytime I have an opportunity to hang with representatives from some of the really great companies in this industry, I will take it. And that's what you can do at the NFDA, which is why distributors who aren't involved or who used to be involved and dropped out for some reason should really take another look at the NFDA and get back with it.
I would agree. We have a number of members that hadn't really been too active. They came to Chicago, really made the effort to be engaged, and in speaking to them, there was probably 3 or 4 of them. They said, "This is great stuff, lots of good content," and they look forward to being involved in the future. So I want to extend the same invitation to anyone that would like to join us in the future. We'd really like to have you involved and engaged with us.
And I think Jay and even the previous presidents to Jay did a pretty good job of trying to kind of take the curtain down and really look at the issues authentically and say, look, this is an organization that's trying to clarify its role and to provide maximum value. Again, as the national organization, you have a special place. And my guess is that you, Kevin Reidl, you're going to be able to continue pushing this mission. So hats off to you on that one. Why don't we talk about some events that are coming up, and maybe one or more of these will facilitate your mission. What do you have coming ahead?
Well, I'm glad you asked. We have a few things coming up. This fall, we're going to be participating at the Fastener Show in Vegas. We'll have a booth there, and we're looking forward to talking with as many people as we can during the show. And then in November, we have the executive retreat in Maui, Hawaii. And that we thought when we first put that together, we thought maybe there's going to be a small handful of people attending. Well, I think we're going to have to expand our room block because we're seeing that there's an awful lot of interest in it. So we're going to have a pretty good-sized group there, and it should be well attended. And really, I think our big kind of blockbuster event that's upcoming is next February in Palm Springs, California. And for the first time, NFDA is going to be partnering with another association in an event, and we're going to be partnering with PacWest and holding a joint conference. And that, I believe, is about a 3-day conference in Palm Springs. We should have it loaded with content. I think we're going to have economic speakers, probably more panel discussions. And we're believing right now that it should be a very well-attended event. Of course, it doesn't hurt to have it in Palm Springs, California.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So, and then next June, we have our next really business meeting. That's going to be in New Orleans, and that's going to be about a 3-day event. And that's where we'll have our ESPS sessions, which allow our members, again, to schedule formal discussion time with our vendor members and work out some strategies for the coming year. So we're excited about it. We think that there's some really nice traction now, particularly in working with the other industries. And I want to thank PacWest for offering to work with us in that meeting. I think we're both excited about it. I've talked to Russ Duran, their president, a few times, and he said there's a lot of excitement on their board and with their membership for that event.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you can double your firepower, and it's a little bit of a mix of the cultures there with NFDA and PacWest, but I think it's a very good thing. In the past, just to clarify for listeners, you've dovetailed your, but you've never actually integrated them, and that's what makes this one a little bit different, right?
Exactly. We have done some events in concert with others. For example, this week in Chicago, the Midwest Association had their big Fastener Tech show, and we kind of bolted ours on to the back end of that. We've done our business meeting. Yeah, had to use the Bolt reference.
Yeah, of course.
We've done our business meeting out in Vegas before, and but yes, this is the first time we're going to be actually doing a joint co-hosted event where we're literally sharing in the content, sharing the same hotel, and so it's kind of a new concept. But we're thinking that it should be a good example of how associations can work together.
And just as sort of somebody who's an outsider looking in at all of this, I had an opportunity to participate in one of the ESPS meetings. And I tell you, for my money, if I was a distributor, that would be worth the price of admission alone, because you get a formal, structured way to sit down with companies that you have on your target list and just get to know them. And it's very comfortable. Everybody knows what's going on. You have an opportunity to exchange ideas with some of the top people in those companies, and you can see if it's a good match for you or not. So my only regret is that it's so far down the road, but that is a fantastic benefit of being a member of this organization.
Yeah, thank you. We've enjoyed good success with that program. Due to the transition, we kind of put it on hold for a little while, but we're going to start it back up here, and it's always been very well received, and those events are always very well attended. It's just a nice opportunity to have some 20 or 30 minutes of private discussion time with your key vendors.
Hey, Kevin, before we wind our conversation up, if you had one objective that you could meet as president of the NFDA, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but I'm going to fire at you anyway. You're the chief executive here. What's it going to be for the coming year? You're right at the top of your tenure.
Well, it's okay. You're not putting me on the spot. I've thought about this a lot, and I think the one objective, if I could achieve it, I'd be happy with it. Is to show the industry and the associations that we really want to partner with them. We really want to work with them. I think there's opportunities for us to work together, pool our resources, collaborate more, and have really better events, better content, better turnout. I think most associations struggle with turnout. I think joint events certainly improve that. So we really want to partner with the associations, with the industry, and show that, hey, we're extending our hands up and we want to work together.
Well, it's going to be great to sit back and watch you do that wherever we can pitch in. We're available. And, I'd also like to thank you for participating on the Holden Natco side. Holden Natco, of course, has been a charter member of the FCH Sourcing Network, and all your people have been great to work with over the years. So thanks for that. And Kevin Reidl, you're the president of Holden Natco and now the president of the National Fastener Distributors Association. Thanks so much for joining us on Fully Threaded.
You're welcome, Eric, and thanks for having me. It's always good to talk to you. I look forward to catching up with you soon.
Well, I don't know if I'll make it to Maui, but I'm sure our paths will cross.
Sounds great.
If only all questions in life were as simple as finding a missing hamburger. But as we'll see in a moment, they simply aren't. On Fully Threaded Radio.
For a selection of hundreds of thousands of fasteners, check out your local Fastenal store or Fastenal.com. We can stock domestic or internationally sourced product locally and keep your bin stock filled for you at no additional expense. We are a 9001-2008 certified company that's made a huge investment in quality control so you don't have to. And if you can't find it on our shelf, we can make it for you at the quantity you need at one of our many manufacturing facilities. Learn more by contacting your local Fastenal store or visiting Fastenal.com today.
This is Sue Rice with the FCH team. It's my job to make sure that as an FCH member, you receive the highest possible benefit from your participation in the network. Did you know that once you're logged into FCH, you have access to exclusive search tools, site statistics, and tracking information about your inventory and source finder inquiries? It's all just a click away, and I'm happy to walk you through it. If it's time to refresh your inventory, don't worry. We'll run your listings through our scrubber software and get you up and running in a very short time. If you can attach a spreadsheet to an email, you can list inventory on FCH. We can also show you how to optimize your listings to attract the most hits for your type of fastener. Send email to Sue at fastenersclearinghouse.com and let me help you get the most from the FCH sourcing network. I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for the Injured Marine Semper Fi Fund, www.semperfifund.org. Over the past 7 years, twice a year, the wonderful people who operate the Semper Fi Fund and many amazing Marines who have been the beneficiaries of the charities that have supported the Semper Fi Fund, including many thousands of individual donors, have come into my radio studio to tell their amazing stories of serving their country, of being wounded, and how the Semper Fi Fund has helped them make that transition back to recovery. Unfortunately, Bethesda and Walter Reed are full again. More and more men and women are coming back from the war injured, sometimes awfully so. We need the Semper Fi Fund to be there for these Marines and those soldiers, sailors, and airmen who served alongside of them. Please consider a gift to the Semper Fi Fund. Very low overhead, extraordinary capacity to get money where it needs to get in a hurry, and great management, including some of the senior Marines who've ever served under the flag. When you're looking for something to do that will make an impact, please check out the Semper Fi Fund. That's www.semperfifund.org, www.semperfifund.org.
They're like more cowbell for the fastener industry. Brian and Eric. Fully Threaded Radio.
This is JR from JHP Fasteners, the precision fabricators and distributors' #1 source. Come visit us and the Fully Threaded crew on Facebook and Twitter for the latest in fastener news and facts. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, your online fastener amigos, back with you.
Right.
So, incoming NFDA President Kevin Reidl's got some tall marching orders, but it sounds like he's full of enthusiasm, and it looks like the momentum has shifted his way. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, right. Yeah, nice guy. Good talk. And Hodel, is a long, one of our very early members, actually. Very interesting when they signed up. Still remember that. So we know some of the people there very well. It's a good company for us.
Yep, absolutely. And it was good of Kevin to join us on today's episode. Also like to thank Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International and of course, BB&T Capital Markets analyst Holden Lewis.
Correct.
Great job as always, guys.
Yeah, it was good to meet him. I've spoken to him numerous times. I've never actually met him before. You have. That was good to have a talk to Holden, actually.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's true. Always good to put a face to the name. And, he's a little bit of a Luddite when it comes to technology. There's a Holden Lewis out on LinkedIn, but it's not him. Name is spelled exactly the same. And I was actually asking him about that. I said, why don't you get involved? He's just not interested. He's a pundit for technology, but he's just not into the whole, certainly not the social media part of it.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Well, he's got quite good company, as I'm one of them.
Sounds a lot taller on the radio than he is in person. Have you noticed?
Yeah, I did notice that. That's good.
Also like to thank the sponsors on today's episode of Fully Threaded Radio. The title sponsor of Fully Threaded is Stellfast. For service you deserve and people you trust, it's Stellfast. Also, Trinity Hardware Headquarters, Buckeye Fasteners, Solution Industries, Volt Industrial Plastics, Fastenal, and Fastener Technology International Magazine. You're a great group. Couldn't do it without you.
Right. Takes time to put all this together, and we need that, okay?
Get with us anytime at the email address ftr@fullythreaded.com. We're also out there on Twitter under the handle Fully Threaded, oddly enough.
Yeah, amazing coincidence.
Hey, if your friends are still not listening to the podcast, tell them to get out to either iTunes or they can go right to the fullythreaded.com webpage where they can get instructions for putting the podcast on their mobile device. A lot of people listen to us on their commute or while they're traveling. If you're a road warrior, we sure do appreciate your help on spreading the word about FTR, everybody.
Right.
And as always, we thank you so much for listening in. So if you're a reader of the Drudge Report, a little bit of timely information on the headline there the other day I noticed, and I guess this shows that Team FCH is right on the curve, if not slightly ahead.
Yeah, what would you expect?
You think we toot our own horns enough?
No. But whatever.
Well, we'll do a little bit of that on this episode. Headline of this story, it was from the Daily Mail, which is a UK-based news site, and I'll put a link to this on our Facebook page. Headline, we'll be uploading our entire minds to computers by 2045, and our bodies will be replaced by machines within 90 years, Google expert claims. Now, if you were at our breakout session, you will recognize the name Ray Kurzweil. He is the aforementioned Google expert.
Right.
And sub-headline says that, among other things, if these predictions come true, it could make humans immortal. That ought to make you fall out of your seat, folks.
Yes. Well, he's a man who you need to be aware of, at least, because he's been involved in technology predictions for years, actually, Ray Kurzweil. Actually, he's the guy who developed the original OCR scanner and sold all that to the company that continued to make them for years. Been involved in many things, but it was at MIT as what they call a futurist, and then he was picked up by Google very recently.
And lately, with so many advancements in technology and this technology surrounding the singularity movement really making headlines, he's come to a lot of people's attention. Now, at our breakout session, we pointed out that we're not necessarily commenting on this whole transhumanist idea. I mean, that is a lot to get your minds wrapped around.
That's correct.
Yeah, it is more than correct. We're really just downshifting to this seemingly humble idea of 3D printing and the additive manufacturing movement and how we feel it's going to impact certainly the world of manufacturing and therefore the fastener world sooner rather than later. And one of the principles behind this and why a lot of smart people think this is really truly happening says here in the story, he, meaning Kurzweil, referred to Moore's law that states that the power of computing doubles on average every 2 years, quoting the developments from genetic sequencing and 3D printing. Now, the reality is that Kurzweil has recently publicly stated he believes this technology doubling actually happens about every 11 months. And the turnaround for many important technological developments is compressing. So this means that even though we may seem to be just taking baby steps in the direction of 3D printing and some of these other technologies like AI, that big changes are going to be made in the very near future.
Right. Well, hold on to your hats because it's going to be an interesting ride, I think.
Again, for a lot more background information on this, please get the session notes from the Fastener Tech breakout session that we had. You can pop your email address into our webpage at fullythreaded.com, and we'll send that right off to you. I think a couple of these videos that we have are just going to blow your mind if you're not already familiar with this. One thing that I noticed is, and I think a lot of people who finally understand at least the surface what we're talking about can be found at the bottom of this article, though. You know, there are hundreds of comments, and I got to say, first of all, some of the people don't believe he's right, and they don't believe some of these predictions are going to come true, which is fine. But there's a lot of people that do buy into it, and people by and large are not happy about it.
Yeah. He has a history of being pretty accurate. His timings are usually, he's a little bit eager with his timings, but he's generally right.
Right. And to say it again, his prediction right now is that this date of 2045 is when they expect this singularity event to happen, which would be a time when the artificial intelligence software, which they're calling brainware, would be something that would be viable. And I mean, they just discount the availability of so many of these biological substitutes that would support all these systems. I mean, it's just, this is like beyond Star Trek stuff.
Right. Oh yeah. No, it's amazing stuff.
And here's me still dreaming about the sonic screwdriver. Well, he may or may not be right about his 2045 prediction. I mean, maybe it'll be like the Mayan 2012 event. But one thing's for sure, and that is that's going to put a wrap on episode 66 of Fully Threaded Radio. We're going to go out, do some fishing, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another episode.
Look forward to seeing you then, folks.
For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Get out there, sell some fasteners, read up on all this wild AI and singularity stuff, folks. And we'll talk to you next time.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fastener's Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.
Meet Kathy, who's lived most everywhere, from Zanzibar to Berkeley Square. But Kathy's only seen the sights the girl can see from Brooklyn Heights. What a crazy pair! But they're cousins, identical cousins all the way. One pair of matching bookends.